We've all been there, right? You see someone who's clearly struggling, and you really want to help. But offering that support without coming off as pushy or just plain awkward, that can be tough. So, how do you actually get it right? Let's dive in. You know that feeling. You see a coworker who is just buried in work, or a friend who you know is going through a really hard time. Your first instinct is to step in, but then you just freeze. The words don't quite come out because you're just so worried about saying the wrong thing. And look, it's a super tricky balance. You don't want to overstep your bounds. You definitely don't want to imply they're incapable, or worse, make them feel like they have to accept your help. So what usually happens? You stay quiet. And then later, you kind of kick yourself, wishing you'd said something. Well, what if I told you there's a really simple, memorable way to handle these exact moments? It's called the NEED framework. Think of it as a 4-step guide that helps you offer support in a way that feels clear, kind, and genuinely helpful. Okay, so the whole process kicks off with one simple idea. Just observe. Before you jump into act, you gotta slow down, take a breath, and really see what's happening. This whole observe phase has 2 key parts. First, you just notice what's going on, and then you connect with empathy. Let's break those 2 down. So, step 1, notice. This is all about fighting that urge we all have to just jump in with a fix. Instead of putting on your problem solver hat, just pause and get curious. This little shift makes a huge difference. It keeps the other person from feeling like they're being watched or judged. Let's make this real. Imagine a manager is juggling a million things for a big event, asking, "Do you need help with that?" It's vague, and, it can even sound a little critical. But if you shift to something like, "I notice you're handling a lot. How are you managing?" That completely opens the door for a real conversation. It shows you see them without trying to force a solution on them. So, once you've noticed the situation, the very next step is empathy. And this is a big one. This isn't about saying, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel." Nope. It's about showing you see their struggle while totally respecting their space and their own feelings. And here's a perfect example of what that looks like in practice. Asking, "You're really stressed, aren't you?" That's a leading question. It kind of puts them on the spot. But a gentler, more open-ended question like, "How are you managing?" That's an invitation. They can share if they want to, but there's absolutely no pressure. Think about a really sensitive situation, maybe a coworker going through a divorce or something tough. A statement like this one, it acknowledges their struggle. It seems you have a lot on your plate. And then it offers help without making a single demand. Just creating that safe space for them can be a massive relief. Okay, so once you've observed this situation with care, it's time for phase 2, to act. This is where all your good intentions get turned into real, actual support. Now, the act phase is also just 2 parts. First, you express your offer clearly. And second, you actually do what you said you would. It's all about being specific and then, following through. The secret to this step is being specific. I mean, we've all said it. Let me know if you need anything. It sounds nice, right? But it actually puts the burden back on the other person to figure out a task for you. A specific offer is so much more helpful. Just look at this comparison here. "I'm here if you need me" is abstract. It's an idea. But asking, "Can I pick up your kids from school tomorrow?" That's concrete. That's a real thing they can easily say yes or no to. And it takes the mental load completely off of them. Just imagine how this feels to someone who's completely overwhelmed. When you're dealing with something that heavy, even tiny decisions feel exhausting. An offer like this is direct, it's kind, and it completely removes the burden of choice. You aren't asking them what they need, you're just providing a solution they can simply accept. And finally, and honestly, this is the most critical part of the whole thing, you have to do what you said you were going to do. An offer's just words until you act on it. Following through is what builds trust and shows you genuinely care. This is the moment support becomes real. And, you can actually tailor your language for these tricky situations. For someone who might be a little sensitive about accepting help, framing it as returning the favor makes it feel mutual, not like charity. In a professional setting, adding "feel free to say no" totally respects their authority. And when someone is just too overwhelmed to even think, a simple "no need to reply" removes all that pressure. These little tweaks can make a world of difference. So, when you put all 4 of these steps together, what you get is a simple but really powerful way to offer support with confidence and with kindness. Let's just do a quick recap of the whole framework. Just remember the NEED acronym. N is for notice the situation without any judgment.
E is for show empathy by making space for their feelings. The second E is for express a super clear and specific offer. And finally, D is for do what you promised. This framework turns those good intentions into genuine, meaningful support.
So I'm going to leave you with this. Think back to a time when you really wanted to help someone, but you just stayed silent. With this framework in mind, what might you say differently now? How could you turn that moment of hesitation into a moment of real, meaningful support?